I mean, I bought the new mirror, but the workflow really just kind of wasn't for me. I was really hoping the next firmware update would fix all the issues. You know, there's just something about it. It feels like it's missing a few features. I don't think it's going to work out. I really like the sound of it, but man, it was just kind of cumbersome to work with. Hey everyone, my name is Nick, aka Build, and today I want to talk about workflow. Specifically, what that means with respect to the pieces of hardware we use to make music, aka gear. So I personally have had this idealized relationship with hardware before. Well, I will buy something and in my head before it gets there, I will envision myself throwing it on the desk, closing the door, turning everything off except for that piece of hardware, and producing music with just that thing, which I know is impossible. I know that's not really going to be the case. But the myth and kind of dream of that still appeals to me greatly, as I'm sure it probably does others as well. The problem becomes quickly that when the gear doesn't do this dreamland scenario, blue sky, solve all of my problems, do everything in one single box with perfect hardware control that I can dream up a thought and music spits out. Obviously, that's not going to be the case, but we still want it to be. And so we quickly get discouraged because the box that we put our hopes and dreams in didn't do the thing we wanted it to do. And so we find another box and another box and another box. And until we've collected this mass of boxes around us, none of them are quite good enough, but all have something that kind of appeals to us. What do we do with that? How do we kind of deal with that situation? One of the analogs that I've been thinking about is going to the gym. And bear with me, this might not make any sense, but the first time you go to the gym, you start picking up weights. You're there because want to get back in shape, or maybe you never were in a shape to begin with, like myself. And so we start picking up these weights and, they hurt. It's not a fun experience. And you start to get things on your fingers and hands and toes and stuff like that. These blisters, for lack of a better word, because that's what they are. They're blisters. And they're painful and they suck. But over time of working with those weights, we start to see those blisters turn into calluses, which I think is a nice thing. Yes, lifting weights is still not the best experience. It's heavy, it's hard, it's difficult. But we know what to expect. We know how to work it. We know what to do to achieve the goals that we have in mind. And I think to tie this all back to hardware and music making and gear, I think that's something that we kind of forget about, and I know I forget about when I'm messing around with hardware, is that it takes time to turn those blisters of those initial first experiences into calluses and really kind of sit and struggle with something. My brain is so wired at this point to expect that initial instant gratification of opening the box and booting it up, and it's supposed to solve all my hopes and problems and dreams and myths. And we lose out on the fact that these aren't some mythical device that can solve all these problems. But the reality is they're just tools. Just like a hammer or a wheelbarrow or a screwdriver, these tools are really only an extension of what we bring to them. And just like those tools, they all take practice to work with. And yes, it does take practice to work with a wheelbarrow. I think I'm doing myself a disservice by not really focusing on one specific tool or specific way of making music. I think I get in my head about, this can't do X or Y or Z, therefore it's not really worth it to spend the effort to learn. And I think that's not true at all. But it does take kind of getting past that mental block in order to understand these tools better and to work with them and build up those calluses. I am definitely a believer that limitations breed creativity, but I'm also guilty of spinning my wheels chasing the next coolest thing for sure. And what does this all have to do with workflow? What's that got to do with workflow anyway there, Nick? To tie all this back to workflow, I think there's always this myth of the perfect workflow that's always just around the corner. And if we buy X or do Y, we will find this, perfect flow state encapsulated in hardware that we can use to solve all of our ideas. And I think contending with the reality that it's just hard work and you just have to sit with a thing and struggle with it is difficult. And I struggle with that myself. So let go of the concept of this perfect workflow. Try to find something that can do 85% or 80 or even 70, whatever the number is, whatever the number that you think you can be comfortable with. Find the thing that can do most of the stuff and let the other stuff go, and really just focus on that remaining part. I think there's a lot to do there, and I think by focusing on that, I can really expand what I'm capable of with the stuff I already have. Hopefully you guys find this video helpful. If you like videos like this, let me know in the comments. I'm going to be doing more of these. I have some other subjects to talk about with respect to gear. I'm not going to talk about gear acquisition syndrome, but I am going to talk about other aspects of the myth of gear. Anyway, if you guys like this video, press the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment down below, do all of the YouTube stuff, or not. Whatever. Don't really care. I'm going to keep making these, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.